Newzroom AFrika reporter Karinda Jagmohan is live for us in Durban at the Westville Correctional Centre, where former President Zuma is expected to start his 15-month jail term. But we also have on the ground in KZN our Newzroom AFrika politics editor, Sbu Ngalwa, who joins us live now from Karinda. Sbu, good evening and thank you very much for your time tonight. What is the latest development? Where are the police units that were reported earlier to be on the move?
Well, Thabo, good evening. We know that there is a midnight deadline for the police to effect that arrest of the former president. And we are still outside his residence, and we have less than 4 hours before that deadline expires. And from what the police minister has said, they will not be, or he rather, and the police who fall under him will not be held in contempt. Effectively, what he was saying there is that he will effect the order of the Constitutional Court. We are out here. There had been an expectation, Thabo, that the former president would meet with the police and hand himself over around about an hour or so ago. But what has since happened, the development is that there is the letter that has emerged. That is a letter from his lawyers. That is a letter that is directed to the Constitutional Court, asking the Constitutional Court rather to stay his pending arrest, to rather keep the police at bay until such time that the judgment is delivered by the Pietermaritzburg High Court, and also extending that stay until Monday, when the Constitutional Court hears his application for where he's asking that court to rescind the 15-month sentence that he had received. So it doesn't look like the former president will be handing himself over, or if he hasn't done so. He has less than 4 hours now, and we also know that the police have equal time to effect that very arrest. What is happening here, Thabo? Well, there's a horde of journalists that are gathered around here, and a handful of some supporters who have gathered here. I'm just going to step out of shot and hope that my colleague can just show you just a handful of supporters that have gathered here. Clearly a far cry and in stark contrast to what we saw here on Sunday, where I would say thousands of supporters had gathered here in Kandla, but all we see now is just a handful. And the normal supporters, the so-called MKMVA members, are nowhere in sight. And from what we understand, the reason for that is that the supporters of the former president had merely miscalculated or misinterpreted the court processes that are unfolding, in that they had believed that when Judge Jerome Nguni reserved judgment to Friday, that effectively meant that the arrest will not happen, without actually understanding that the reservation of that ruling does not in any way affect or impact the original order of the Constitutional Court. That is the order that gave the police until tonight to effect arrest by midnight. And as the clock ticks, we are out here outside the former president's Dunuse residence, waiting to see what his next move will be, Thabo.
Right, let's take you live now to the Westville Correctional Services. That's where Karinda Jagmohan is live there for us tonight. Karinda, any movement on that part of KwaZulu-Natal?
Yes, well, over the past hour, a number of Zuma supporters have been demonstrating outside the court. As you can see here, they're gathered here and have been singing and marching for quite some time. Among them is one of the people that we have been speaking to over the past hour. So thank you so much for speaking to us. Now you've come here, it's a really cold evening. You guys are out here demonstrating, calling for Zuma essentially not to be arrested and to be incarcerated here.
Yes.
If you do hear, because I mean at this point we're all waiting with bated breath what's going to happen in Nkandla, what are the plans of Zuma supporters tonight across the province?
Well, each and every area has got its own different plans. As we are here today, we are just nearby Westville Prison. We are just here to show our support, considering we don't know also what's going to happen, but we are just here to show our support. No, how can I put it? There will be no demonstrations that will be of any sort that will lead to any violence or anything of that nature. We are just here to show our support for the former president.
Tell me, if Zuma is arrested and his convoy does make its way to the Westville prison, what actions will the supporters take? I understand there's already roadblocks along parts of the roads leading here. What actions are the supporters going to take to stop essentially this convoy from heading into the prison?
There's no intentions of stopping it per se, because we are just here we are law-abiding citizens as well. So we are just here to show our support as indicated. No violence is intended. We'll just support the former president and we'll let the law take its course. But we are just here as members of the African National Congress to just show our support and let him know that we are here for him. We expected the NEC and the ANC body itself to support him in this particular matter, but nothing of that sort happened. So we are here as members of the ANC to continue to show our support for him.
Mr. Mirza, why do you feel it is that Zuma should not be incarcerated? He says that he has not refused to appear at the Constitutional Court. Why are you here supporting him?
Well, we also believe that he has not refused to go to the Zondo Commission. However, there is a matter that's been put forward that he has asked Raymond Zondo to recuse himself, and Raymond Zondo has not done so. So his argument is that he does not want to appear before the Zondo Commission if Judge Raymond Zondo is still there, the one just presiding over the events. So should there be any changes to that, he will consider going to the commission. So it was not a case of him refusing to go to the commission, but rather refusing to be in front of Raymond Zondo, as he stated, and the legal matter is still proceeding. We are waiting outcome on that particular one.
Finally, sir, of course, there are lockdown regulations currently at play as well. Among them is that gatherings aren't allowed, and there's also a curfew at 9 p.m. Are the supporters going to be abiding by these regulations?
Well, at the moment, we don't intend to be abiding by them because of the fact that, we are looking at the current situation of the judiciary of this country. There are a lot of issues that we need to look into that. So, failing that, we also will not be abiding to the law, because the law is also not abiding by itself because of the discrepancies that are there within the law itself.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mlungisi Miezo. He is one of the supporters that have joined the demonstration at the entrance to the Westville Correctional Centre. Now, the reason why we are here in anticipation of the former president's arrest is that it is this prison that we understand that Zuma is expected to serve that 15-month jail sentence according to a warrant of committal signed by Judge Sisi Kampepe last week after she handed down that judgment in order calling for essentially Zuma's imprisonment. We do understand that there are roadblocks on the main roads between Nkandla and Durban. It's understood that supporters are blocking some of the major toll areas essentially.
Right. Karinda, Jagmohan, let's come in here. Let's interrupt you for a moment, because we see in our picture here on our site that Carl Niehaus is addressing the media. He seems to be in KwaZulu-Natal. Let's go live to hear what Carl Niehaus has to say.
Accept that suspension. MKMVA is an autonomous association. MKMVA is not a league like the Youth League and the Women's League, and the ANC has no legal authority to suspend MKMVA. Therefore, the National Executive of MKMVA reaffirmed that it will continue to proceed as MKMVA. It will continue to do its work. It will continue to service the members of MKMVA who are ex-military combatants of Umkhonto weSizwe. MKMVA's NEC expressed its concern that the African National Congress's National Executive is acting in an emotional and vindictive manner to try and suspend MKMVA, and the belief is that this is the case because of the clear and unequivocal support that MKMVA has given to President Jacob Zuma. The NEC of MKMVA asked me to reaffirm their full support for President Zuma and also their opposition to President Zuma's arrest and imprisonment. They also asked me to convey their gratefulness to the members of MKMVA who have been deployed by the National Executive of MKMVA here at Nkandla. And the instruction is that that deployment must continue. With regards to my suspension, the National Executive of MKMVA resolved the following. First of all, that I remain a full member of the National Executive and the National Working Committee of MKMVA, and I remain the national spokesperson of MKMVA. The message that I deliver to you now about MKMVA's support for President Zuma and also MKMVA's rejection of the disbanding of MKMVA was officially given to me to deliver here by the National Executive Committee of the MKMVA, which has just concluded their meeting a few minutes ago.
Mr. Niehaus, with less than 4 hours left before the former president, the deadline expires for him to be arrested, have you spoken to him? What is his mood?
President Zuma is always in a good mood. He is clear and determined about his position. I'm aware that his legal team, Advocate Dali Mpofu, is engaging with the authorities. I spoke to Advocate Mpofu a few minutes ago before I arrived here at Nkandla telephonically.
Will he be handing himself over to the police?
I cannot comment on that, but I do know that President Zuma had made it clear that he is not in favor of this arrest, and I can only speak on behalf of Umkhonto we Sizwe Military Veterans Association, which we have said consistently over months now, and again over this last weekend of the 2nd to the 4th of July, that we are fundamentally opposed to the imprisonment of President Zuma, and we will oppose that imprisonment with every possible legal means. We do not want to see violence. We do not want to see instability. We will not stoke violence and instability, but we will continue to oppose his imprisonment to the hilt. We believe that his constitutional rights have been trampled on. We believe that even this possible arrest tonight by the South African Police Service, when yesterday there was an application to the High Court in Pietermaritzburg, and there's also coming the 12th of July, a presentation that is being made in front of the Constitutional Court, that all of those issues should be exhausted, and that the South African Police Service apparently wanting to rush in and arrest President Zuma is just a further indication of the vindictiveness against him and the lack of care and the lack of concern for the law.
But that's not true. They have an order to effect tonight.
Well, we have also said that yesterday there was an application. I'm quite sure that if there's political will, and there is also will and goodwill from the side of the South African police, there's no need to rush this attempted arrest of President Zuma. As Advocate Mpofu said in his presentation to the...
All right, that is the official spokesperson for the MKMVA, who is outlining the official position of MKMVA. Firstly, on the issue of the disbandment of MKMVA, which the NEC of the ANC yesterday came out and said they reiterate and they stand by that position. He says, of course, the MKMVA are rejecting that particular disbandment. They remain the official association for the military veterans. They are not a league of the ANC. They are an autonomous association of